They told us it was just a drill. But if that were true, why did the lights flicker the way they did? Why did the intercom cut out halfway through the announcement? Why, in God's name, did someone whisper my name from the hallway when no one was supposed to be there? My name is Evelyn Red, 34, former high school English teacher. And this story, it's the reason I stopped teaching altogether. It started like any other substitute gig. Small town, standard school. I was filling in for Mr. Halbert, who taught sophomore English at Elridge High. I'd never been there before. The place had that stale institutional smell disinfectant over old wood and adolescent sweat. You know, if you've ever stepped into a public school. The first 2 periods passed in a blur of Shakespeare and blank stares. Around 3rd period, the PA system crackled to life. The voice was calm, but too calm. Attention, staff and students. We are now entering a lockdown. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. That phrase, it sticks with you. I'd heard it before, but only ever during rehearsals. There is a tone people use when they know something is wrong but aren't allowed to panic. That's what this was. Scripted, but off, and then the lights buzzed and dimmed. Just for a second. The students froze. I moved fast, locked the classroom door, drew the blinds, told them to get away from the windows and stay silent. I'd done it dozens of times. No big deal, but this time felt different. There were 12 students in the room with me. I remember each one now with unnerving clarity. Hannah, the track star, who'd never stopped fidgeting. Malik, who always wore his hoodie up. Abby, who whispered prayers under her breath even before things got weird. The silence after the announcement was thick. It's like the school itself was holding its breath. Then came the footsteps. Not rushed, not the frantic scurrying of a teacher late to lockdown. No. These were deliberate. Slow. Heel. Toe. Heel. Toe away. One of the kids gonna pointed to the crack beneath the door. Shoes. But not normal ones. These were old-fashioned, polished, black leather with silver buckles, like something from another era. And they stopped, right at our door. I gestured for everyone to stay quiet. And the doorknob rattled 3 times. Click, click, click. But it was locked. They stood there for what felt like a full minute, just breathing. Or maybe that was one of the kids hyperventilating. I can't be sure. Then they walked away. We all let out a collective exhale. Except the footsteps didn't fade. They never got quieter. It was like they just stopped existing the second they turned the corner. That kind of absence isn't silence. It's something colder, and that's when Abby whispered, "They're not real." I shot her a look, but she wasn't looking at me. She was staring at the floor, rocking gently, muttering now, not praying anymore. Something else. I crossed the room slowly, crouched beside her. "Abby, what do you mean? They're not real?" She didn't answer, just started humming a song I didn't recognize. Ultimate lullaby, maybe. I tried to radio the office. Static. Tried to text the front desk. No signal. I should have used my common sense then. Gathered the kids, broken protocol, gotten the hell out, but I was still following rules. Still pretending we had control. I didn't realize the rules had changed. The hallway went quiet for too long. Then the lights went out completely. That's when the knocking started. Not on our door this time. On all of them. One. Then another. Then another. 12 doors down the hall. Each knocked on. Once. Then silence. Then it came back. Classer. Knock. 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 Knock only. It wasn't Whoever it was skipped us. That somehow made it worse. I pressed my ear to the door and heard breathing, but not just one person, multiple. And beneath it, a voice, childlike, whimpering. Help me. I don't want to play anymore. That was when Malik broke. He leaped up, pulled the chair away from the door, and screamed, "Screw this! I'm leaving!" I tackled him, harder than I meant to. We both hit the floor. That's when we all heard it again. Not footsteps. Whispers. 12 voices whispering in sync. Names. Full names. Not ours. But we recognized them, because those were the names on the memorial wall in the main hall. Students who died in a fire. In 1978, we sat in that room for hours, long past the lockdown. No one came for us. No bell rang. No announcements. Then, sometime after what must have been 6 p.m., the door clicked, unlocked itself, and opened. No one was there. No lights, just hallway. Empty. I took a flashlight from the desk drawer, told the kids to stay put. I'd just look around the corner. I never made it that far, because just outside the door was a piece of paper taped to the wall. Handwritten, smudged, but legible. 12 must stay, so 12 may go, and beneath it, a list of names. My students' names. But one was crossed out. Mine. I turned. The room was empty. Not messy. Not in panic. Empty. Like no one had ever been there. Desks, perfectly aligned. No bags. No jackets. No signs of 12 teenagers huddled in fear just minutes earlier. Just silence. And the smell. Smoke. Old smoke, like burnt books and scorched paint. I ran. I don't remember how I got to the front office. It was dark, dusty, abandoned. There was a phone on the desk. I called 911. The dispatcher who answered said there hadn't been a lockdown, said Elridge High had been closed since 1982, said the building was condemned after a structural collapse from fire damage, said there was no Evelyn Red listed as a substitute in their database. That was 6 years ago. I don't tell this story often, but if you've ever had a lockdown drill that didn't feel right, if you've ever heard footsteps when no one should be in the hall, ask yourself, who's doing the knocking and who opened the door?
If I'd just ignored the fire alarm, none of this would have happened. But I've always taken pride in my job. 27 years as the night custodian at Ashbine Regional High. Never missed a shift, never left a mess. And that night started like all the others. Until the fire alarm went off. It was 11:36 p.m. There were no students, no staff. Just me and the empty halls. Or so I thought. The sound was deafening. I winced as I grabbed the heavy ring of master keys and started moving. The alarm panel in the main office showed the trigger came from room B12. Only one problem. Room B12 doesn't exist. Hasn't for years. That wing was sealed off after the old science lab fire in '97. The school board didn't want to pay for renovations, so they just walled it up. Literally, drywall, steel framing, plaster, no doors, no windows. Like it was erased. But the alarm was real, and it came from inside. I should have called it in. Instead, I went looking. Down the east hallway, past the senior lockers. The further I walked, the colder it got. Like walking into a meat locker. No reason for it. He'd worked fine in the rest of the building. When I reached the barricade, I stopped. The wall looked wrong. Not newer, like it should have. Older, cracked, as if it had always been there. And in the center, a door. A single wooden door, with peeling paint and no handle. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at it. Long enough for the alarm to stop, and then the knocking started. From the other side, 3 slow knocks. Then, a pause. Then, a whisper, muffled, wet. Let me clean it up. I backed away. I'm not ashamed to say I was scared. I turned, started back down the hallway, and found myself staring at the same door again. Same hallway, same door. I hadn't turned around. I'd gone in a circle. That's when I knew something was wrong with time, or space. Or maybe just me. I pulled out my walkie, called into dispatch. Only static. Tried my phone, no signal. Then my flashlight started flickering. And I heard it again. Let me clean it up. This time closer. Right in my ear. He spun around, and the door was open. I swear to you, it opened by itself. No sound. No creak. Just darkness behind it. Something compelled me to step inside. It wasn't bravery. It felt like guilt. Like I owed it something. Inside was the science lab, or what was left of it. Tables scorched, ceiling charred, but everything else was untouched. Bunsen burners, goggles of melted cloth frozen at 980, and a smell. A mix of bleach and smoke and something sweet, like burning sugar. I took a step forward and the door slammed shut behind me. I ran to it, pounded on Italiano nothing. Then the lights came on. Fluorescent, buzzing softly. That's when I saw the writing on the whiteboard. It wasn't there a second before. One sentence. In red marca. You left him to burn. My breath caught in my throat. Because I knew who him was. Danny Brooks. He was a junior in 97. Special ed. Quiet kid. Obsessed with cleaning things. Used to beg me to let him help after school. I let him sweep sometimes. He loved Italiano. He was also in the building the night of the fire. I didn't know that. At least, I told myself I didn't. But maybe I heard him that night. Maybe I heard the coughing. The banjing. Maybe I thought it was just the fire. Just the smoke messing with my head. So I left. I saved myself. That whiteboard stayed blank for 26 years. Until tonight. The lights flickered again. And when they came back on, he was standing in the corner. Danny, but not a boy anymore. He wore a janitor's uniform, like mine. But melted, charred. His face was wrong. Frozen in a scream, like the fire never stopped for him. Eldamo, dragging it across the blackened floor. And where it passed, the ground sizzled and hissed. He looked at me with eyes, full of ash. Let me clean it up. Primera basket Hawaii, tripped over a stool, hit the floor hard. He came closer. Step by step. Then the fire alarm went off again. The room vanished. Just blinked out, and I was back in the hallway. Alone, the wall was sealed again. No door, no sound. I ran to the office. The panel was blank. No alerts. Checked my phone. 2:03 a.m. Full signal. Everything was normal. Tu? Normal? The next morning, I asked Principal Delaney about the East Wing. She looked confused. Said there's never been a fire.